you had overcome the problems? We unite even if it's Tajik or Hazars or Pashtuns. For rebuilding Afghanistan. We want the Afghani flags all over the country. Let the Afghanis get together and build this country. Cooperation between the Afghanis, we want love between each other. Again, stressing on the flag of Afghanistan, and we want unity in
It had been 9 grueling months, and now at long last the chopper was coming to take us home. Jeff and I waited with a mixture of joy and sadness, rewinding the memories of our adventure, trying to divine context, and thinking of the people we'd be leaving behind, while the chopper sifted through the dusty dawn. With the stress of combat ops off my shoulders, I could finally relax and reflect on what we had gone through. It occurred to me that this had been a real adventure, not the way the term is marketed in the States to imply fun and good times, adventure in the Homeric sense. Real adventure contains a measure of pain and misery. It has simple joys and tight bonds of friendship, but most importantly, it has from the start an uncertain outcome. In retrospect, the task may seem easy, accomplishment an assured result. However, we came to know too well that good days can very quickly and severely go bad. On September 11, 2001, I watched the jagged video frames on my computer as the second plane crashed into the World Trade Center. I knew at that moment I would be deploying to combat once again. The opportunity came, ironically, 1 year later in September 2002. We were called up in support of our sister company out of Georgia. We spent the day of the 12th driving out to Fort Bragg, North Carolina, trying to accustom ourselves to becoming full-time soldiers and listening intently to the President's speech to the United Nations. In processing through the temporary World War II era barracks, I reflected on the men who had transited these buildings to wars throughout the 20th century, thinking back to what those men had gone through and wondering what the future held for us. It was miserably hot, and thankfully only 1 week before we moved to a local Ramada Inn for the duration of our stay at Fort Bragg. 6 weeks of training, weapons fire, live fire exercises, packing and unpacking equipment, and 1,001 changes along the way left us chomping at the bit. Everyone tried to find outlets for excess energy as the departure date approached. PSYOP is as old as warfare. However, even within the military, PSYOP, or psychological operations, is largely misunderstood. Frequently, the response to the arrival of a PSYOP team is to ask where the baby crying sounds or propaganda are. Often there is a tendency to assign nefarious purpose to PSYOP as if it were some mystical Jedi mind trick, or to see it simply as an extension of the good deeds done by civil affairs units in rebuilding a war-torn area. The truth is all of this and none of it. Somewhere in between lies the realm of the PSYOPer. You try to encourage behavior which supports your victory. You try to persuade the uncommitted to join your side, promote resilience in your friends, and in your enemies you try to build doubt and the inevitability of defeat. To be effective, the message must be based on truth and cultural understanding. The team must also assess the loyalties of groups and analyze enemy propaganda. To accomplish all this, the tools are loudspeakers, leaflets, and other products, and just talking and listening to people. Because few people can read in Afghanistan, leaflets contain many images, but face-to-face was the best way to communicate. We had been involved in counterinsurgency operations for 9 months. We'd worked with at least 8 different Special Forces ODAs and 1 Civil Affairs team, all composed of great guys. We'd bonded together in a way only men in combat can. There's not a one that I would not be happy to serve with again. And we'd lost friends. I flew out on Halloween aboard a giant C-5 transport to Frankfurt and a C-17 to Bagram, Afghanistan. This is the story of how those operations were conducted in one small area on a global field of battle. We were sent to a remote firebase in Guresh to provide PSYOP support for several Special Forces teams after a mine strike killed some civilians. This was about 70 miles from Kandahar. We frequently traveled with the ODAs across trackless wastelands as much as 14 hours a day to reach remote villages, one so isolated I referred to them as the villages of the moon. We were there to assess the loyalties of the local populace and provide them with information. We hugged the jagged fringes of the Hindu Kush Mountains, passing secluded black-tented nomad family camps and isolated villages which hugged the line between mountains and plains. The summer was hot, so hot that turning on the vehicle heater actually seemed to cool you down. The winter meant snow, sleet, and cold rain. Once we drove up a riverbed, splashing repeatedly through cold, rocky water, spending hours to go 14 miles. The steep river bluffs looked down on us, occasionally people as well. The pass we sought was non-existent, so we had to drive back down 4 more hours to find the way to the village we were going to. Frequently, we conducted checkpoints to interdict Taliban movements. In this case, stopping a camel driver using the river for a highway. Nothing was found, and he was allowed to move on. Afghanistan is one campaign in a long war. Just as the battle for Iwo Jima is not viewed as a war in itself, but as a campaign in a larger strategy to defeat the Japanese, Afghanistan was one leg in a grand strategy to defeat radical Islamists. It would not have ended even if Osama bin Laden was caught at Tora Bora, since there are many other Islamist cells. Our job was to find the remnants of these cells in Afghanistan, to kill, capture, and disrupt them long enough for a stable government to take root. The very roughness of the terrain means that this will be a long process. In the village bazaars, garish jingle trucks, SUVs, donkey carts, bikes, scooters, beat-up cars, oblivious pedestrians, horses with rickety wooden buggies, tractors and so on all teem on the road with no lanes, no laws. A cacophony of horns and commotion. Beside the road, stalls made of mud or scrap wood sell goods as men squat outside. Women in blue burqas walk by as the beautiful, filthy kids play in the street and work in the shops. Our job was to interact with people. Handing out printed product, radios, and taking pictures invariably drew a crowd and provided the opportunity to talk to and gain information from people, while presenting messages and themes we needed to spread.
By the way, y'all riding with the wrong folks. You know there's a hit out on this. If they hit this car, y'all are assed out.
We're asked out?
Yep. I'm extremely pissed off at you, sir.
We're at the LC. About to go to the objective point. Back in the pickup with my gear on. Back in the convoy, go to the target, Ashkagar. Going to pick up a guy with no beard, a guy with no legs. Road's blocked off with concertina wire. Looks like one guard, and we're going to have to find another route.
We helped Special Forces teams in conducting many raids to grab Taliban or Al-Qaeda. We were prepared to control crowds and issue surrender appeals with loudspeaker if needed, but we also helped with analyzing enemy propaganda and leaving our calling card Vengeance leaflet, which explained about September 11th and left no doubt in the morning who had been there. Although the situation did not always permit, we often filmed the raid in case we needed to counter enemy propaganda about what had happened. If the raid was a madrasa or religious school, we wanted to be able to show we'd been respectful. Enemy propaganda methods were mostly in the form of night letters, which were left on village walls during the dark. With literacy at under 10% in most places, usually only the mullah could read these. More effective were products in the bazaar and video discs. Frequently, the TV carried out intimidation campaigns such as burning
We'll do some in
schools.
here and then in the alley. And
Did Olive answer you before?
Yeah, we're ready.
hey, sit down, sit down.
Counterinsurgency warfare is a tough form of war, requiring agility and the persistence to outlast your enemy. Protracted war is not a thing that fits the mercurial manner of democracies. North Vietnamese General Giap understood this during the Vietnam War and gambled that he could inflict losses upon both France and the United States long enough to force a change of policy. He was right in that war. In this war we have no choice but to see this thing through. The enemy must be kept off balance. Islamists are at war with Western civilization. Their philosophy allows no compromise between their interpretation of the Quran and the individual rights we hold dear.
Ollie's over there. Ollie's over there.
Okay, no problem.
Most raids were conducted solely by special operations personnel, but on occasion we would team up with conventional forces. The conventional forces would set up blocking positions around the area, while we dashed in to take down the compound. While the ODA cleared the building, we would hold a near blocking position and be prepared for loudspeaker broadcasts.
Alright, what do we got? You got one of ours? Get up right here.
Doesn't sound it.
As quickly as possible, any captured personnel would be sent to Kandahar for questioning. While the team worked out of Goresh, in Kandahar, the LT conducted planning with the forward operating base staff and kept us resupplied. Of course, life in Kandahar had its benefits, but mostly it was a lonely job. His teams would pass through on various missions and to help out with the work there. Kandahar Air Base had been built by the US during the 1960s.
The real near beer?
The loudspeaker is the team's primary means to influence large crowds. Although we only had to use it on a few occasions, we always either had the man-pack or vehicle-mounted loudspeaker with us. You never knew when it would be needed for crowd control, surrender appeals, or just to inform people of what was happening. In this instance, a large convoy of military vehicles was moving through Guresh. We broadcast an appeal to clear the road so that the operation would go quickly and safely, while making sure the people knew the reason for the commotion. This is part of creating a bond with our town. It's important for them to know what is happening to prevent enemy propaganda rumors from controlling behaviors. In small villages, we would sometimes use the loudspeaker to play Afghan music to draw a crowd and break the ice while the ODA conducted medical checkups. It helped when searching a village to use the loudspeaker to direct people to a central location and ease the process of clearing the village. This lessened the chance of something going bad. In this case, after a search of the outside of the town, we broadcast for the village elders to bring the man we were looking for to us. They came out, but said the man was not there, so we broadcast, "Everyone in the village must move to the courtyard. Women and children separate from the men. You will not be harmed if you do this, but you must move immediately." After the search was conducted, we moved on with our captive. In any population, most people are uncommitted. In other words, you have perhaps 25% committed to some course of action, 25% opposed, and 50% in the middle that could go either way. A counterinsurgency war is fought for the sympathies of those in the middle. Too heavy a hand can push them away, but not reacting to the enemy forces strongly enough can make you seem like a paper tiger. These masses will wait until they perceive which side is likely to win. For them, this is a life and death choice. If we make the wrong choice in America, we might get a Pepsi instead of a Coke. In an area in the midst of counterinsurgency war, the wrong choice may mean death. Therefore, they are reluctant to commit right away. Hence, this is a slow process. You must keep all promises at any cost to allow trust to slowly be developed. We worked along with Civil Affairs to aid many schools and clinics to begin this process.
Oh yeah, okay.
Pamphlets for vines. These two right here. They're already cooked, but they taste a little better if they're heated up. And so they can heat them up in boiling water. Over time, this trust led to useful information for the ODA to act on and build positive relationships.
anybody see anybody or who got attacked downtown? Yeah, a couple nights ago.
The clinic in Gresh had very little medicine or supplies besides that which we provided. Civil Affairs delivered thousands of blue bags of school supplies. These were paid for by the Children of America after a call from First Lady Bush to send money for this. Kids who literally had nothing on their feet and walked miles each day for school received their first pencils and paper from these blue bags. Working with these people gave us access to key communicators within the villages and allowed us to spread our messages with more authority. When we showed up in remote villages and instead of demanding tribute, provided shoes for the kids and materials for schools, their perception of the U.S. was transformed. Instead of taking, we brought. Many schools were destroyed during 25 years of war. It was not unusual for classes to be held outside or in roofless buildings, or to have them burned down by Taliban remnants. During Taliban time, most schools had been converted into police stations or armed camps. You usually found one room that had been used as a kitchen and so was burned out. Life at the fire base ran on the circadian rhythms of missions. Missions required intel. Intel required talking to people, and talking to people required getting out of the wire. But in between, time ran slower. We had time to get to know the camp workers and their kids, build things, maintain our equipment and weapons, plan for missions, and the many simple tasks required for mere existence. We began our tour living in a traditional Afghan mud hut built from successive layers of mud and sun-dried bricks. The high vaulted ceilings and thick walls made it the most comfortable place on camp. Later we moved into a tent and near the end of our tour hired Afghans to build us a cement block home. Often, as I stood guard at night in the camp tower, I would look out at the small villages strung out along the Helmand River and think that this is where the war would be won or lost. Frequently, we would be the first foreigners to visit a village, and it was not unusual for people to have no idea why Americans were in Afghanistan or to have any understanding of what had occurred on September 11th. When we arrived, there was no system for any government in Afghanistan. It was all created from nothing. For instance, there was no method for paying teachers, no system to say who gets paid, how much, from where, and how the money would go from the foreign donors to the central government, to the provinces, down to the school districts, and finally to the teachers. Each of those linkages was broken and had to be repaired just to pay teachers. This occurred with all aspects of government.
What caused the sweat on your brow? Not just hot sauce, but the bomb.
To compound this, many of the local leaders held power because of their background in the Mujahideen. Years on the front lines does not prepare a man to administer a government, and in fact many could not even read. In between missions, we trained on a variety of weapons. The U.S. can disrupt the Taliban and provide assistance in setting up a government, but it is up to the Afghans themselves to muddle through this. We can never force a government on these people. The Soviets tried that already. No, this is their job, but with our indispensable help. It will be a generational process.
Okay, so what is this going to be?
For everybody to move. A can of gelled gasoline with GMP booster charge. Push that.
That is a pretty good explosion.
He's under the rug, man.
Hell no!
He's under the. He can get a burst.
Safe.
In our pooch trying to kill a camel spider. Just went under the.
Did he go under there?
Yeah, that's where it went. Here, just go there and pick it up with your hand.
Probably there he is. Going out.
Go, go,
Spray foot. No,
go, go, go! Down! Get him, get him! We need our knives, man.
He got out.
We don't want him out, man. He'll come back in. Yeah, just shut the door, man.
That's probably how he fucking got in. It's stone up there.
Best part of the Afghan day.
The end of
The end of it. Welcome to the back to the soda.
One day closer.
Hey, get a picture of Eddie with his cigar.
Yeah. This. Yeah, Daddy, talk about your cigar. First cigar, man. First one.
I'm pretty happy about this right here. You see that? You see that stubble?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a goatee.
LT's out here growing a little.
Yeah, I'm pretty crazy. Kicking back.
In Afghanistan, we continually took 2 steps forward and 1 back. This campaign and the wider war on Islamist terrorists will last many more years, though the progress was visible during our short stay. But now at last our adventure had ended. I'd lived every day since my arrival at Bagram as if it would be my last, dashing any thoughts of what would come after so I could focus on what needed to be done in the present. We had a chance few people ever do, and I'm thankful for that. Thankful I could take part, and thankful that few Americans would ever have to experience this.
Just the Afghanis get together and build this country. Cooperation between the Afghanis and love between each other. And we want unity in unity.
وطن افغانستان چې خوشاله شواله وای افغانان تل پر کرانه د ملت غواړو